Back, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Showrunner. We're class number 2, and yesterday we changed some lives. We woke up some people from the dead. Minds are blown, and we are ready to rock. For everyone who's on live right now, and I see a lot of people coming on, welcome everyone. Give me a little temperature check. 1 to 10, overall, how are you feeling with the idea of shifting away from old school, kind of boring how-to products to more of a story-based world, something that's more immersive, something that really connects with people and differentiates and it's very difficult to copy an AI, right? Because you can say, hey, AI, give me a 6-week workout, but you can't say, give me the secret handshake from this. Like, it's just a different world. All right. So we got all 10s. I'm loving the 10s coming in. So we're going to have more fun today. Let's jump right in without further ado. A really quick, of course, I love the word rewind, a really quick rewind where we started shifting the concept of being a showrunner, which I used to call super producer, and getting away from funnels and towards these immersive worlds, right? Just that slight shift from here's a how-to product, here's a typical direct marketing headline, to leading with story and characters. And it's just so much fun to build like this, right? And we started building the foundation for our world, something that is going to last us hopefully years and years and years, and introduce the 7 show codes. We went through the first few, right? So we started with the show code number 1, which is the origin story. And within that, just really briefly here, I'll take a minute, right? We talked about the timeline. Do you want to do future, present, past? And for some of you, that was eye-opening, because when I was talking about story and building a world, I think sometimes we come at it with such a big, broad perspective. We're like, well, I don't even know where to begin. Like, what is this? What's this thing even look like? But the minute you start with a timeline, like, okay, it's the past, or it's the present with this like kind of underground rebellion, or it's an alternate 1994. It sets this nice foundation for you to layer everything on top of that. So we start with the timeline, and then we got into the backstory and why it exists and the vibe of it and what's that feeling. Are you more rebellious? Are you more mystical? We talked about naming your world and coming up with all these different names. What's amazing now with ChatGPT, it is your partner. So you, in the past, you'd sit home, you'd be like, oh man, and I used to teach naming. I'd say, draw a line down the middle of the paper. Not even that long ago. Verbs here, nouns here, descriptive words here words for membership. It could be renegade, like all these things. Now you just say, hey, AI or GPT, I really like the name society. Give me 10 ideas for my knitting society that are kind of more cool and hip. Here you go, right? You don't have to spend months and months. It's just I think I'm in love with ChatGPT. And then we went to show code number 2, which was the identity, right? Where the entry point identity, where people are coming into your world. What's the post identity? So the transformation. So we're taking them from what to what, using speaking as our little playground. And I think, thanks, Ed. I think you are tool. I think you are too. Yeah, we're just saying how much we love AI. We went into language and symbols, and the mission. Like, what's the mission of what we're building? Which is so much different than, hey, I got this really cool product. I think you're gonna dig it. Go buy it. It's $29. Versus, here's the mission of this society, and here's our handbook you should own. I know I keep harping on like it, but it's such a different feel, and I know people are going to resonate. Not every single person. someone brought up yesterday, I don't remember who brought it up, like, what about the over analytical? Yeah, the people who are analytical, who hate all kinds of story and fiction, probably won't dig it. They'll be like, me want facts, just give me facts and spreadsheets. They're not for you. That's cool. By the way, they're a pain in the butt buyers anyway. We went through taglines and credos and really digging in. And before I say this, I want to once again thank Max. I don't know if he's on. The way I was going to run this was going to be much more, let's just kind of build and play. But I remember in the last class, an after party, I believe it was Diane who was asking for, like, well, what do I say? Tell me more about the prompts. Because I was just like, well, just have a conversation with it. But when Max said, hey, can you like really provide, some rules, some guidelines, that's when my brain shifted to, let me kind of reverse engineer what I'm doing. Let me use ChatGPT to come up with examples for a sample industry. So at least we have structure, because I do believe creativity. You don't want structural creativity, but I still think we need some sort of guidelines a little bit to at least put us in the right direction. Because I think if we just come in with a canvas and it's just like paint whatever you want, and we don't start with a timeline, and then we're like, well, what are the characters? I do think it can get a little messy and disorganized. So at least we have some structure. You can play, and you shouldn't draw within the lines. I want you to draw out of the line and screw the lines, but I want you to at least have this structure. So thank you again, Max. And Diane was in my head too as I was thinking this. I'm like, okay, that's why I really was thoughtful in building out that prompt that covered everything in this course. It wasn't just one prompt. Hey, create a character with this feature. It was something that can give you the whole outline for everything. So I'm hoping that you guys are really going to have this thing start to come together. And it is coming together because we are now showrunners. We're becoming showrunners, and I'll show you how. Because this morning, I got an email from a member who's going through this with you right now, James, and I don't know if he's on now. And he said, like, he was so excited. I remember before he joined, he emailed me. Most of you joined without much thought. Some of you have been through my programs. Scott Colby's known me for over 20 years. He trusts me. Lionel said he bought without reading the copy. He's like, I bought within 10 seconds. But some people are like, well, I don't know. Is this right for me? Here's what I'm thinking. And if you guys have emailed me, I'm always honest. I'll say, well, what do you want to do? And if someone says, well, I want to do this, or I have no idea, but like, I don't know if this is right for you, right? I would never take your money just to take it. Like, I want to make sure it's right for you. And James was like, well, I want to do this and fitness, but I'm not sure. I said, well, here's what we're doing, and I think it's going to work for you. But again, it's up to you. So he came in before with something to this nature, right? Well, I like working out, how to get fit with kettlebells you can do at home. And this is pretty typical. This is, and Scott said, I've had his credit card for 20 years. I have. Ding, ding. Before the whole coaching people and having, because I started out in the fitness industry, building my own fitness business and then helping fitness pros. And I get a lot of that. I want to be a kettlebell expert. I want to be a yoga expert. I want to teach speed. I want to be a plyometric or a vertical jump person. How do I differentiate? And it was getting tougher and tougher as there's more competition. And now with AI, it's infinitely harder, because as people are getting more comfortable with AI, they're just going to start using it. They're going to say, hey, AI, create a 6-week kettlebell program for me. And it's going to do it. And every day it's getting better. It used to be pretty generic, and now it's getting better. Create a kettlebell program as if this person built it, right? So when James emailed me, if it would have been a year or two ago, I'm like, all right, we're going to have to really find an angle and find a hook. And I'm not sure how it's going to work. And it was really tough. Look, of an overwhelming majority in that pre-AI world didn't succeed. Whether it's self-sabotage, whether it's they're scared of putting stuff out there, or they didn't put the effort in, or sometimes the marketing was just vanilla, or they would put all this effort in, but then they build the worst looking site. Like, there was a lot of issues, and we get frustrating. But now with AI, now that we can have these prompts and things can build so quickly and create really engaging story, I feel like it's given all of us this like second chance, this lifeline, this and some of us as we're getting a little bit older, the side B, right? It really, instead of looking at it as I'm terrified that the how-to industry is going away, that courses are going to be going away, that courses are dropping 30-40% in sales already, um, saying this is amazing for us if we use it correctly and don't rely on it as a crutch. The germ of the idea still has to come through us. Todd with knit, he still has to have the idea with knitting and put it in there and then work it, massage it, and manipulate it and get it to where he wants to be. So you're still having the creative input. You're not just sitting back. And I think that's where most people are doing. They're like, oh, AI. And the guru's like, oh, just do one button and you don't do anything. And I don't think that's going to work. I still think there needs to be that human input and the creativity and the originality to doing it. But I want to show you, so from before, it would be a lot of this, how to get fit with kettlebell workouts you can do at home. And then James emailed me and I said, do you mind if I shared what he wrote? He said, absolutely. He said, Ryan, I came up with this last night. Like I started doing the prompts and here's where I'm headed right now. And so from this, how to get fit with kettlebell workouts you can do at home. Fine, right? How are you going to stand out? How are you going to be different than all the other people teaching the same stuff and giving it away on YouTube? And how are you going to be different than AI? And what kind of promises are you going to have to make? Do you have to promise you're going to lose 10 pounds in 10 days or 10 pounds in 1 day, or I'm going to double your strength, or I'm going to increase your, that's a tough game to play and everyone's still trying to play it. So here's what James is working on after just the first class. And I love this. And I'm going to read it with my dramatic voice. Ready? We're going to put a little showrunner magic on this bad boy. So before, generic, getting fit with kettlebells. Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn and let's get ready for the showrunner. Oops. Around the turn of the millennium, before social media swallowed our focus and global gyms standardized everything, there was the Backyard Society, an unspoken movement of DIY fitness crews training with homemade rigs, rusty kettlebells, and bodyweight circuits on torn up grass and cracked concrete. It wasn't about six packs or before and after pics. It was about movement, mastery, and belonging. The Backyard Society went underground when the fitness industry got glossy and commodified. But now, in the post-algorithm era, people are waking up. They want something real. The signal is back on. The yards are open. You're invited. That's what I'm talking about. That, ladies and gentlemen, if I have to summarize where I think we should be, it's that. Even if you say, Ryan, look, this idea of building a massive world and characters, I don't really want to do that. Okay. I get it. Right? Totally fine. At least, at minimum, if you walk away from this saying, I'm just going to use a prompt and take the first part of it, just what James did, and make it about the story and that feeling and this, we're like in it together, and wrap it around something, a society, a secret thing, the future, something that stands out as opposed to a straight up how-to manual. I think that's why we're going to stand out. I really, really do. Like, I'm putting all my eggs in this baby. And I think, James, if you would have said there were two sites and one's like, hi, I'm James, and I've been, a kettlebell trainer for 12 years, and I lost 10 pounds, and I trained 35 clients. I have a new kettlebell program called, Kettlebell Unleashed. Get it? It's only $29. Or he read that other story. Is everyone going to be interested in this society? No. But tell me that doesn't get attention. And that's not something you could just like go to AI and say, create James's workout thing, right? So I was so excited when he emailed me that. And I did ask for permission because I didn't want to say, hey, I don't want to give out your thing. And he said, absolutely, you can use it. So, and when I saw the email, I got the goosebumps and it made me smile because I'm like, man, if everyone here gets this, if we all just kind of get it and shift away from the old way and into this, our chances of success are going to be so much better, not just now, but as everything changes. So, congratulations, James, for taking action. And it's easier than writing like long sales copy. So, I love it. I friggin' love it. And thank you all for all the positive comments. Trip saying like, sign me up. That was awesome. Great. James is happy with this. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if you guys are not interested in kettlebell training, tell me that didn't capture your interest. Stories still sell. People want to be captivated. The best speakers in the world are the best storytellers. It's not just the best content, it's the stories. So today, we're going to go through show codes 3 through 5. So we're going to start shifting. We're going to start with a little bit more of imagination and start shifting to the end of today with monetization. And then tomorrow, we're going to talk about some of the building. Like we'll talk about some tools and we'll talk about traffic and growth. I was going to do traffic as like a separate thing, but I think we might be able to do it on Friday. I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. I want to see how it goes and how this class goes. But for now, we're doing 3 to 5, shifting from the imagination to monetization. If you're ready, give me a little heck yes, a little Ramones, hey ho, let's go, and we're going to rock. All right. Show code number 3. The characters, the cast. Who is going to be in this world? And we touched on this a little bit in the first class, whereas figuring out who is going to be the face, the voice. Is there one person who's going to be the main character? So with the world I'm building, there will be one main character. Let's call him the producer. He's going to be kind of the face of it. Maybe you're the face of it. Maybe there's a narrator, or maybe it's a fictional character, or maybe it's a fictionalized version of you. There's no right or wrong. You can absolutely insert yourself into the story. Do whatever works for you. I will say this though, and I normally am the opposite. I would always say, look, don't build a business to sell it, because then sometimes you do things you shouldn't do. And I've sold 6 different companies, so I know this. Selling a company is not as easy as people think it is. They think, oh, you just, you start it and then you sell it. It's really not. It's complicated, and because it depends on the type of company you're selling it to and how much you're selling it for. If you're selling a business for, $100,000-$200,000, usually not that big of a deal. I sold one for a couple $100,000. The guy just wrote me a check. He didn't do any due diligence. I sold one for a lot more, and there was about 2 months of due diligence, and they had someone looking through every single charge on my bank account and credit card, like everything. So that it's not as easy as people think. I'm not scaring you, but if we're building a world, it does give us a chance to potentially have an exit, right? If you want to get out of it. And now that now that I'm almost 53, I'm thinking, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I'm not going to stop working. I love doing this, but what if I want to, right? So if you build it, so if I put and I thought about it, I'm like, well, I love speaking and doing what I'm doing. I could easily be the face of this alternate 1986, but then down the road, if I want to sell it, because this IP becomes very valuable. James's, the Backyard Society is going to have a much higher value than his 6-week kettlebell workout, because it's intellectual. It's what I call creative intellectual property. It's much more valuable. But if it's if James is in it, it's a little tougher to sell because they're like, well, we still kind of want James. Now, with technology getting better, they can create a James avatar and use your um, what they call NIL, the name, image, and likeness. Potentially, you could say, hey, you have the ability to use it, but then you kind of give that up. So just, I'm not saying you shouldn't use your name. And you may say, Ryan, I have no intention of selling this. I'm going to do my name. I'm going to do my face. I'll do it for the next 5, 10, 15 years, whatever I want to do. And then when I'm done, I'll close it, or I'll give it to my kids. So don't not do it because it's not a sellable, but I just wanted to let you know, if you want to eventually sell it, consider having an alternate version of yourself. I know because all the businesses I've sold had never been a Ryan Lee business. It was Strength Coach. It was ProGrade. Like, it was things that weren't with me with my name. So AI came up with this for our speaker industry, right? There could be a masked host known only as the signal keeper, an anonymous narrator who signs off with the letter C. You, but amplified. So James could be Coach 47, which is a version of yourself from a future timeline. And maybe the person looks a little bit different and you're not using your name, right? So there's options. But what's great is that with AI, even with ChatGPT, the image generation is so good. I created these 2 images in ChatGPT. All I did was say, hey, for our speaker society, create kind of a shadowy guy. And I left it up to their interpretation first. I said, create what you would think this character would look like. This kind of secret letter C, this shadow person, right? And that's the person. I said, okay, now do a female version. And that's who they did. Now, I could have been very specific. I want the person with blonde hair. I want to give him a mullet. I want to give her a mohawk. I want a big scar on her face. Like, you could do whatever you want. But tell me this doesn't look real, right? So you can take these if you want. Now, there's different levels to this, right? You can just use more story and more writing and maybe voiceover with something like 11 Labs, or you can create avatars. So avatar is something like HeyGen, HEYGEN. You could use my affiliate link, ryanlee.com/HeyGen, and then upload those images and have them actually move their mouths. They're getting better by the day. There's, as of today's recording, they could still be a little bit clunky, but I've been fooled a few times by avatars not knowing if they're real or not. So, but what I don't want you to do now is go off the rails and obsess with creating virtual avatars. At least if it's not going to be you and it's going to be someone, at least really flesh out what this person is and what they look like, right? Say, I want a guy in his 40s, grizzled, or I want a woman who's 22, a yoga pro, approachable, brunette. Be as descriptive as you want. And that could at least be the face of this society, this story, this world, this universe you're building. So here's 2 I created, like the fictional characters, in about 30 seconds. This is right now, this is the current version of the avatar I'm going to be using in my world. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be my name. It's a fictional person. It's not necessarily going to have it's going to have a different backstory than me, but this is going to be kind of the star of my world. So, a little younger than me, but you may say, look, I'm building a world around, for younger speakers, and maybe you're 60 and you want the voice of this person to be younger. So guides and mentors. So that's like the voice, the main person. So start to think about not just on the timeline, but who's going to be the person, and are there other guides and mentors, right? Are there named mentors, past founders, prophets? Jimmy V gave me Hydra. That's very good for avatars as well, by the way. So can you do different mentors and guides? Are there other people that are going to be part of your world and universe? There doesn't have to be. With James's underground thing, it might be one coach who kind of found this thing, and this guy is the leader, and that's it. Or you might have something a little bit more fleshed out. So with the speaker one, Rex Lumen, the exiled TED speaker who cracked the truth frequency, the archivist, the keeper of the original prompt decks, the Whisperers, a covert group that records public speeches and rates authenticity. But you see how this is all within your grasp. Like ChatGPT came up with those ideas, and I might say, well, you know what? I like the idea of the exiled TED speaker, but I don't want it to be Rex Lumen. I actually want it to be a woman, and I want her name to be more rebellious. So then I'd say to ChatGPT, hey, this is great. I like the exiled TED speaker, but I wanted to make it a female. Let's come up with a name that's more rebellious. Give me 10 ideas. So you see what I mean by not just always taking what it gives you immediately, adding your own seasoning to it, right? And refining it how you want. This is the best part, because we're not building friggin' funnels and courses. There is no wrong answer. Rex Lumen can work. Your female version could work. The rebel can work. The kid, it all can work. Don't restrict yourself, and don't say, well, people can buy the courses. Don't limit yourself, because we all have different world experiences, and all of this creativity comes from us, comes from our gut, and there's only one of you. There's only ever going to be one of you. There's never going to be someone exactly like you, ever. In the history of the world, no one's ever going to be like you. So those little sparks, those little things, that's the good stuff. So don't run away from that, and don't doubt yourself. Who cares? Create, play. I stopped caring what people think. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Diane asks, are these guides and mentors the main characters or supporting characters? They would be more of, and that's a great question, because we'll cover that in a second. They're probably more the main characters, right? So you've got the overall speaker voice, the sage, the wisdom, the leader. It's a terrible example, but remember David Koresh, like the cult? But you've got like the leader, and then you've got, the guides, the mentors. They could be like the main cast, and maybe there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them or something like that. And then we'll talk a minute about the supporting. So let's say we're doing this, right? Then you could say, all right, let's create, what is, and I said to GPT, give me your version of what you think Rex Lumen would look like. And this is what it came up with on the first one, which I think is actually pretty interesting. It looks like someone who's been around the block a little bit, little weathered brow, but still in the game, hasn't let himself go. He's got that serious look, like, we got this. So I like to often let AI come up with the first run at it, just to see, without guiding it in any way, just to kind of have something to bounce off of, because there might be something you get on it. You're like, oh, that's cool. I actually like him with the gray beard, but let's try it without the beard. So these are the main characters. Then you've got, flipping the script, the members, right? So who's joining? And this is optional, but you can give them fun names. And I've done that with some of my programs. I've had, like with Rewind, with my nutrition company, I called my customers Rewinders, right? So they came up with, here, ChatGPT. I don't love these. The Transmitter, which is a truth teller. Echo, which is people learning to find their voice. Jammer fights back with unexpected stories. But just, I think when you have if you're building the world as a group, as a society, it is cool if people can identify with a name. So with us, with this program, my vision, if you've known me for a long time, I just love creating new products, but I don't envision myself ever going back to teaching like just typical, here's how to build a course or membership. I just can't see myself doing that. I think I'm all in with showrunner. So as we're building, we're going to call ourselves showrunners, and we identify as showrunners. So when people have a name they could identify with, it's much stronger. Like bands, right? Taylor Swift fans, Swifties, Justin Bieber fans, Beliebers. What did the Beatles fans call it? I forget. Beatlemania. I don't know. But Lady Gaga, she has her little monsters. Then on the other side, and this is where you can get really creative, you can have the villains or opposing forces. So what character or force represents what we're against? And in my world, which is a little bit more, I'll give you a little, it's a little bit more leaning entertainment. I wasn't going to have one. I'm like, you know what? Having a villain adds a lot of it adds a lot of intrigue and stories and like the hero journey. So I do think there's something pretty interesting with that. James said, generic gyms and fitness programs, but why couldn't James create a villain that's like if you want to have fun with the story, did you ever see, what was that movie? Dodgeball. Did anyone ever see Dodgeball, where I'll give you a 10-second version, right? The gym, these guys called Average Joe's Gym, and it was just like this kind of beat up gym. We're going to get taken over by Globo Gym, by Ben Still, this huge corporate gym. And he was the enemy, right? I could see James almost creating a Globo Gym type character. And that's the enemy. So if you're telling stories, right, you can have an image of this fitness person, in front of this massive gym that's commercial and glossy and so fake. And then you have something where it's a little bit more fun too, right? Again, getting away from, here's my 6-week kettlebell workout, to a completely immersive storytelling thing. Now you could write emails about it, and you could have a lot of fun. I keep smiling because it's always been my dream to do something like this. So with the speaking, the story could be the panel, right? A faceless council enforcing conformity in speech. Bots, right? The over-polished clones who rely on scripts and applause. Agent Hush, the mysterious force who censors radical voices. So I did GPT. I said, do me a little, let's see what the panel looks like. What do you think it looks like? This dark, shadowy kind of look, like nameless, faceless. And then coming back to Diane's question, supporting characters, these would be supporting roles and lore figures where you can add more flavor and spice. So it's not the voice. It's not the main cast with a couple of mentors or guides. These are more side characters if you want to get deeper into this world. You might not. You might be just one voice and that's it. I just want to show you all of the ways you can go, and you can get really deep and immersive. Now, I'm not saying you have to you're trying to build out Dungeons and Dragons and spend all your days doing lore, unless you want to, because then you could probably start to lose yourself. Because we still want it. It's still a business, right? But here's characters that came up with Juno, which was the first member to go live without notes. The Night Speaker. Legend says he only appears when the mic is left on after hours. Station 77, a pirate frequency that broadcasts unreleased speeches. So I said to GPT, create an image of what a Station 77 DJ would look like, kind of a homemade studio with the 77 banner on the wall. Like, what would that look like? So then we could put a face behind it. And this is what I came up with. It seems to like these shadowy guys with beards. But pretty cool, right? I mean, how far, think of it like this. 24 hours ago, or if you're watching the recording, maybe 10 minutes ago, I gave you the prompt of selling to people who want to be speakers. And the thing was, how to build confidence as a speaker. In just the second class, look how far we've come. Look how much texture we've added. Look how different this feels than you trying to sell a confidence and speaking course. It's, I guess, with, no pun intended, like, it's a different world. We're talking about an absolutely different immersive thing. Diane's question: can you take an image generated by ChatGPT and turn it into an avatar in HeyGen or Hedra? Absolutely, you can. Now, right now, and the technology is getting better every day. So it's the best avatars right now are the ones that are native to it. So if HeyGen or Hedra, however you pronounce it, have built-in avatars, those are already kind of trained, and then the movements are much more natural. The second best would be you doing a video. Hey, it's Diane, and here's what we're going to do, and blah, blah, blah. And then they create an avatar around that because now they have more movements to do it off of. The third would be just giving them a still image, because then they have to kind of make up the movements. But so the first one's the best, and the second. So it is, you can do it, and it is getting better, and it's going to get to the point where it could be a month or 2 months from now where it's all A+. So that's why I don't want to spend a ton of time in that software now saying, here's how to take your image and here's how to upload it to HeyGen. Because in a week, it's going, I'm not exaggerating. I swear I'm not exaggerating. This stuff gets better every week. And every one of these big softwares, not the little rinky dink ones, I'm talking ones that have real money behind it. If you're on their email list, and I'm on like 15 of those lists, every week, they say, here's our product updates. Now your avatar could, sing the alphabet underwater. Like it is getting so good by the day. So if I go in and train it, it's going to look like setting up a Craigslist listing or like setting up GeoCities. It becomes so outdated so quickly. And I didn't want to date this, but the methodology doesn't change. You can create an image with AI, or you can go right in to HeyGen, Hedra, or whatever it's going to be, whatever's going to be the better one eventually, and say, here's the image I want to do, create the avatar for me, and it's going to do it. So that's going to get better. Okay, let's go to our next show code. So we're up to number 4 now. Remember, there are 7, right? Let's just set up some rules, and then we're going to talk about monetization. So some of this overlaps a little bit with some of the previous show codes, the rituals, vibes, unspoken truths, right? So this is a biggie. And it's similar to mission. Similar. What do we believe in this world? That's an important word. Believe. Like, this is what we believe. In James's backyard society, this is what we believe. We believe in we believe in honor. We believe in iron, right? What do they believe in? So here's some that GPT came up with. We don't chase applause, we chase truth. Clarity beats charisma. No scripts, no fluff, just voice. So an optional twist would be call these something cooler: the frequency code, the creed, the 7 signals. I like to have statements that start with either we believe or I believe. If it's more of a one voice, it could be I believe. If it's more of a society and there's other like secret members, it could be we believe. And I like where you can have we believe or I believe like 5 or 6 or 8 statements in a row. Like, again, if I was doing James, the Outdoor Society, I believe in, knowing who you're speaking to. I believe in integrity. I believe in honor. I believe in iron. I believe in hard work. I believe in working out till you can't move, whatever, right? I believe in multi-joint movements. So I believe statements. They're really powerful. and which relates to kind of to sayings, right? Phrases and mantras for insiders. And this stuff's all optional. You don't have to have this. And I think you just want to keep you do you, but I'd like to keep stuff more fun. I don't want it to feel like a cult. Sometimes it can start to feel culty, but some people like doing that, and they kind of really get into that thing. So here's some it came up with for the speaker industry: mic on, speak raw, signal over polish, drop the filters. Think of it like brand poetry. These sayings can go on T-shirts, cards, and inside jokes. So we build that out with the prompts as well, right? Rituals are challenges, so small acts to symbolize you're a part of this world. More optional things, right? So pressing record without a script, going live without edits, which is full drop, echo break, a 60-second truth-telling challenge. So you could turn these into levels or initiation events. So when people come into your world, you could say, hey, here's a challenge for all of you. Do a 60-second mic drop. Or here's a challenge, 50 kettlebell swings in a row, right? Then you could join our world. Or one kettlebell swing, whatever the thing is. And then this is fun. Taboos. What behaviors are not allowed in your world? It's similar to kind of like the villain, right? Like who's the villain? Who are you against? This is important for building these stories. So what's not allowed, right? No 5 tips to be confident scripts. No fake ums or authenticity theater. No AI voiceovers in speaker practice. Taboos make your world feel real. They give edges. And I agree 100%. If you notice, it's the theme kind of keeps coming up that most people in most niches are tired of the crap. They're tired of the BS. They're tired of everything being so fake and pre-planned. Like if you've ever been on a webinar, right? It's the same crap. Hey guys, welcome. Blah, 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 blah. And here's my story. And I started here. And I lost it all. And I lived in my car. And then I discovered Amazon listings. And then I made $1 million. And here I am now on my yacht. And I'm not saying this. And you finish the line, right? I'm not saying this to impress you. I'm saying this to, how do they always finish this? I'm not telling you this to impress you. Like, look at my private jet. I'm not telling you this to impress you. I'm telling you this to, let's see who knows how they always, those cheesy speakers always finish that. Yes. Impress upon you. I want to puke when they say that. I'm not saying this to impress you. I'm saying this to impress upon you. I'm saying go F yourself. It's so generic. No, you're not doing it to impress upon me. You're doing it to show off and to say, hey, you need this, right? Where every industry has their crap and a majority are sick of it. We don't want it. I'm not even talking internet marketing. I'm talking every industry has their speakers have their crap. Fitness people have, like, most people are tired of it. So if you tell them, hey, I'm sick of it too, let's do something that's against that crap, it works. Say things people are afraid to say. Anyway, that's why I left that whole internet marketing world. I couldn't stand it. The fakeness and the impress upon you. Like, who's falling for that crap? Seriously. And could you do me a favor? For those of you watching this right now, stop going on goddamn webinars, please. Idiots who you're not an idiot, but don't be an idiot, because it's such a waste of time. All they're going to do is sell you crap. Just stop. You're not missing anything. The whole industry is just disgusting. Let's talk about symbols and tokens. You could tell I've just been I've seen way too much, and Kim K has been in some of the worlds as well. It is awful. Behind the scenes, it's worse than you even imagine. It's worse than you imagine. You think, oh yeah, I know some shady characters. Whatever you think, it's infinitely worse. The stories I can tell you about some of these speakers, awful. Symbols and tokens, ladies and gentlemen. So these can be icons, gestures, and badges of belonging. But it also shows you that there is every industry has these feelings where people feel the same way you do, and they're scared to say it, and there's no place that lets them say it without looking ranty, right? You don't what I don't think you should do is have your entire brand be just angry. I don't think that's good either. But if you can say this is what we're for and this is what we're against, at least you're building something as opposed to always talking about what you're against. Like, you don't want to always bash everyone, but I think lead with this is what we're for, this is who we are. This is our great world, join it. This is what we stand for, and we're kind of against this thing, as opposed to politics now is so divisive. Everything is like against. Let's go what we're for, and then just kind of secondary. Okay. So it could be like a signal icon you post when going live, a sticker. So maybe that little microphone with a slash, which means no scripts, wearing a black band during recordings. There's a lot of really cool, fun things you can do with that. And then you could even get into these short creeds, oaths, pledges for new members. I don't know, because I was looking into the psychology of building, audiences and tribes and memberships, and this came up a few times, so I wanted to include it. And I think it's interesting in storytelling world and world building. Personally, and maybe you're like me, I don't love being forced to do anything. The minute someone tells me I have to, I say no. So like I was at an event once and they're like, all right, guys, group picture. Like, oh, all right. And they're like, everyone do the heart symbol. And I felt like like a punk rocker, like the Ramones. I just want to like give the finger. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Or those things where everyone, like all the dudes are wearing the same t-shirts on the beach and like, no. Like I think you can build an audience, a tribe, a world, but not make it so uniform where no one has any individuality. That's just me. That's probably my own personal bias leaking in. Some people love that, right? Some people love it. I'm a New Yorker. I want individuality. I want to be me, and I don't want to be told what to do. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. But if you want to do oaths and pledges, here's one they came up with. I speak what's real. I listen before I echo. I break the script. And I speak for those still silenced. Optional but powerful, especially for onboarding ceremonies and Gamify. Now, you can tell people, hey, say this before you speak, right? Scott said I should do stand-up about all this crap. It's actually pretty sad. I think it'll be the world's saddest stand-up show. I don't know how much an audience is going to get it, like, hey guys, I'm going to go to like the New York Comedy Festival. Hey guys, what do you think about funnels? It's like, what? Who's this idiot? I maybe one day I'll just do an hour private. We won't record and I'll just rant. God, I got stories to share. You wouldn't believe. You'd be like, there's no way. Oh yeah, there's a way. Okay. Show code number 5 the artifacts. So now we're going to talk about monetization, right? Starting to monetize. In the next class, we'll talk about growth. We'll talk about more build out and traffic. But I know, like, this is still a business. It's like, all right, the story's cool, and we got some things, and we're building the lore in the world. But how does this look like as products, right? I think the overall philosophy is that when we're doing it this way, it must feel part of the world, not something you bolted on. Okay. So it can't be, hey guys, we're building this speaking society, and this story, it's been handed down, and here's what we believe, and here's our leader, like all this stuff. And then all of a sudden you sell a program called, the ultimate 7-figure speaking course for $997. It's such a, I think it's going to be really, really jarring, because it wouldn't feel like you'd be like, wait, what? You just, huh? And then people look at, is this the same list? Is this the same world? And that's my concern, is that for some of us who've been immersed in this world, myself included, right? We're used to a certain style of selling and creating, and it becomes a crutch. And I think we go back to that. And I want to make sure that if we're building something, we have the wherewithal to stay with it all the way through, and not go back to, now I'm going to do a cheesy headline and really turn the screws. Because I don't think that's going to work. I think it's going to have the opposite effect. I think you're going to get no sales, and people are going to rebel against you. So make sure it feels like it's all a part of the universe, in the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it breathes. Every product should have a soul. It should have a reason for being. It should feel like it's part of the universe, part of the world. Does that make sense? I hope I'm explaining that right, because I'm not saying you can't sell a product, but I'm saying it still has to match the feel of this world. And you can't now all of a sudden have this immersive universe, and this language, and this code, and the mantras, and all this stuff. And all of a sudden you create like a cheesy ClickFunnels webinar page, right? Like, it's just going to, it's not going to work. And then you say, oh, Ryan's crap, stuff didn't sell. So let's think about it in terms of, if it's a world, what are your signature tools, which are like your flagship products and programs? And I like tools because, like, it's a world, and we're building a world, and the idea of having people go on journeys and transformations, and like, it's almost like a game. Like, there are tools you need, right? So it came up with some things here. Covert prompts, a secret deck of speaking triggers, the mic pack, a digital folder of forbidden frameworks, vocal jam cards, challenge cards for real-time practice, right? So you can ask, what do members use every day that symbolize their role in this world? So I had GPT, I said, covert prompts, just throw out let's just do version 1 of what it might look like. And this is what it came up with. And it's a really good start. And I might say, well, okay, let's make the font script, or let's make it blue, and let's, but it matches the world, right? It matches this idea of this kind of speaker society. If you were getting the emails for the speaker society, and have seen some of the videos, and are kind of like buying into it, and you saw this product, it feels like it's part of the universe. It doesn't feel jarring. If it was called the Ultimate Confident Speaker Toolkit, it wouldn't feel part of it. And when it comes to names, as you guys probably know, I'm a big fan of coming up with names that are not the norm, that are things that are pretty different than what everyone else is saying. And I think just like we default often to, oh, I want to do it as a course in a sales letter, I think we often default to names that like, well, no one's going to know what that means, right? No one's going to know what what was it called? Covert. They're going to know what covert prompts mean. So I'm going to call it, the ultimate speaking prompts, because then they're going to know. But they'll know, like, the copy will guide them to tell them what it is. So I think if you're using a certain vibe and certain words in whatever the feel is for your world, the course name or product names or program names should all feel like it's part of a natural extension of it. If James's Outdoor Society had a program and it's called, Slim 12, it's not going to work. But if it's called, Ironside, I know that's a movie, but you get my point. That is more aligned with it. So let's see what else we got. And I had one, I said, create a digital folder image for Mic Pack. And these are all first drafts, right? All first drafts. And then I said, okay, let's do something where it's going to be maybe a one-time thing, a product, a book, a manual, a field guide, the frequency file. And it looks kind of old and weathered, and I want that. For this market, this vibe, this timeline, this fits really well. Yeah, Scott said these images are pretty good on the first attempt. I think the more you have information in your chat, the better it's going to get, right? The better it's going to hit with what it is you want. It's going to have more context. But if you just say, create a cover, it doesn't even know where to begin. But if you see, create a secret cover that's black, that has the feel of our society, that members would love to own, that feels like it's a part of history, you got better results, right? And then I said, create an image for another one called the Protocol Echo. How to be a confident speaker. And by the way, I'm not showing you this like how I created these to impress you. I did it to impress upon you. So we'll talk more tomorrow about like, well, how do we sell it? Because what I don't want you to do is get into the weeds and start saying, well, what's the site and how much do I charge and all that kind of stuff. For now, I want you to just stay in the creative flow. But I was looking at some products, and I think the more we could, when it comes to actually selling it, having it sometimes function a little bit more on the actual checkout process, like e-com. I do like that, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. So maybe there's membership, right? And there's some questions coming in. I'll make sure I answer them after. The Mic Society. And I said, just create a simple membership card for the Mic Society. And within the Mic Society, you can have a weekly special hand-typed newsletter. It could be an audio prompt. It could be a newsletter plus a sample speech that was given during a secret society meeting. There's no limit to what you can do. And that's when you use GPT to really dig into your imagination. Because I don't know where you want to take it. You can take it as off the walls as you can. And you know what? Go for it. Like, this is what's amazing about this. There's no rules. I'm not saying, okay, it's a membership site, so you should have, you should take them on the journey on this, and there should be a library. There's some people that teach membership sites. It should, 4 modules, and the first week is this, the second week is that. Throw that crap out the window. We're throwing all that out the window, and we are just in full-on world-building creative mode. We're doing something different. We're getting insanely creative with this stuff, where people like this is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced, as opposed to falling back on the crutches and well, what's this piece of content and what's the sequence, what's the don't worry about that stuff now. Todd S, is my project live yet? No, not yet. It is going live in the fall, so early. But so I'm probably going to start teasing it. Well, it depends when people are watching this. In about 4 weeks. I still have some things I want to do and some things I want to legally protect before I start doing it, because I know the minute I start announcing it, people are going to copy me, which is kind of annoying. So there could be relics and collectibles, and pricing is really going to depend on your market too, right? And what it is you're selling. Like if you're selling to professional speakers, it could warrant higher prices. I don't know if you're going to sell the secret manual for $1,000, right? And I think a lot of those days are done anyway, or coming to a really quick ending for selling pure information. Very tough to sell a course for $1,000 now. Very tough. It can happen for the top people, but it's getting less and less. So what used to be $1,000 products are now $100 products. So, right, if it's going to be that, but versus the knitting society for Todd, the knitting society is probably going to be less. It's one's a profession, right? Where we're making money as speakers. One's more of a hobby. The profession's usually going to get more money. You could do relics, collectibles. Now, I love digital products, right? It's all profit. There's no shipping. I've owned 3 e-commerce companies, and every time I sell it, I'm like, I'm never doing it again. But I never did a drop shipping company. I always did my own inventory and products and had 3PLs, which is, third-party logistics and warehouses, and it's a lot of logistics to run. So it's a time and labor intensive business. But if you can drop ship and have creative products, it's a different story. So I think there's something interesting with looking into physical stuff, drop shipping. I am going to, with my new business, I'm going to have physical merchandise, but it's all going to be drop shipped, which means no inventory. So if no one buys this month, I don't have warehouse fees, nothing. As opposed to, well, I have to do another run of bars. It's another $150,000 of inventory. And if I don't move it, I only have 8 weeks to sell it. Expiration, different kind of pressure. So, but getting something in the mail is really good if you can do it right. And especially if we're building these worlds and it separates you from everyone else. Todd asked, do I mean POD, print on demand types? Yeah, print on demand is some of it, right? So these are some ideas that AI came up with here for the Speaking Society. The first broadcast cassette, fake audio artifact with lost training, echo coin, given after completed a live unfiltered speech. The founder's field notes, fictional notes from the rebel who started it all, right? These deepen immersion, and they can be digital or physical. So you can say, all right, let's take the first one, for example, right? The first broadcast cassette. You could do it. You could kind of have a physical, and GPT created this image for me first try. So this, you could make it a digital audio, but have the kind of front, the skin look like a cassette. You're like, hey guys, get this, get the audio. What we've done is we've taken the actual audio recording from a cassette tape and put it online, and you could now download it. Now you can add, and there's sound effects you can add to an audio. You can add a cassette hiss, so it sounds like it was recorded at home, like the little cassette hiss. Or it's really interesting. There's actually print on demand. I used this company so long ago for DVDs, but they do tapes. They do they actually do cassette tapes now. They do vinyl records. They do CDs. They do Blu-ray, Kanaki, where they only ship it when an order comes in. So you can actually do cassette tapes. You'd be like, well, no one has a cassette player, but they don't even listen to it. It would be more of a collector's item. So that's just KUNAKI. So they only charge you if they ship it out. So it's pretty interesting. Jennifer said, I love dropship, but I also need a deck of cards. Yeah, I don't know anyone that would dropship a deck of cards because there's a lot of printing that would go into that. I would honestly just look up card deck printing and start getting quotes. I don't know one offhand. I know it's going to be a lot cheaper if you go overseas or go to like Alibaba, but there's going to be bigger minimums. It's going to be a longer wait time, maybe 8 weeks, sometimes 12 weeks. So you can often find a local printer. If you could find a local printer, even better. And then you've got physical identity with merchandise to symbolize like I'm in. Now I'm going to show you something really cool, and I want to build something in real time. I don't know if you're ready for this. Well, I forgot this. Forgot this one first. So this would be like a sample T-shirt. I said, come up with a slogan for this society for speakers. I said, honor the real. I said, just do a mock-up T-shirt. Right? Fine. Cool. But ladies and gentlemen, who else wants to? I'm going full D-bag. So as I was building my, I'm building out my new world, and I know I want to do physical stuff. I've used Shopify in the past. I've used Shopify twice for 2 different companies. There's some good, there's some bad. What I didn't like about Shopify is that it, everything you need to do, you need another app. And before you know it, and it wasn't that in the scope of things, it wasn't a big deal because I was generating, it was making millions, but it ends up being like $500-800 a month because you've got, you need an app to track this, and you need an app for an upsell, and you need the email app, and it was like, you need an app for people to add multiple products. It was subscriptions. There were so many different apps, and it was just so bulky and annoying. And I said, okay, I want to keep this new business lean. So I've been looking around, asking around, and merch and digital products. So I found a site, a company that I'm building out with my own new world, where we're going to do merchandise, and you can also do digital products, which what it means. So listen, so think about this for a second. You could now create packages. So you can say, hey, we just launched our new field guide, and it comes with this exclusive sweatshirt or this t-shirt or this sticker pack, because they have stickers, they have posters, they have all this stuff, and it attaches this digital product to the product. So when they order the t-shirt, which is print on demand, they place the order, the shirt gets shipped to them, and they get the product automatically. And you could do recurring, you could do subscriptions too, and there's no cost. And it uses the same things. It uses, I believe, Printful. It works with all these things, and there's like zero tech, and it's free. Do you want to see the company? It sounds. I was pretty excited when I found it. I actually didn't. One of my students built out like a home merch store. I'm like, man, that looks really good. What are you using? She's like, oh, I'm using this. Check it out. I said, do you like it? She says, I love it. So I'm really liking this. I'm giving you my affiliate link, but I'm not actually making money from it. But I get like a $5 credit if you sign up or something. So, but it's not network marketing right there. Go to ryanlee.com/fourth. RyanLee.com/fourth. That is what I'm using. It's fourth wall. Yeah, I believe I did. I probably did mention it in the last thing, but I wanted to get you excited for this because I was using it and I'm like, oh, let me go back to Shopify. And I did a Shopify trial and I was playing with Shopify for a week or two. I'm like, oh man, now I remember how much I hated it. And fourth wall is really pretty cool. So what I want to do now is let's create a little bit. So in terms of creating products, right? So I just signed up for a new account. So let me just see. I'm just going to, I'll just put this here, content creator. So I'm doing this in real time. Let's call it Ryan's World. What you can do eventually when you link to your YouTube channel, under your YouTube channel, you can actually have all your merchandise there. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever gone to a YouTube video where it says, hey, get our t-shirts, and it's like all integrated right there? That's what you can do with it, but I'm just going to skip this for now. So you can create, so here's all these different types of products. So you can do, let me browse the products. Hats, t-shirts. So here's all the categories. And you get different types of t-shirts. And what I did was, it's funny, I actually went to ChatGPT. I gave it this site. I said, okay, first thing I want to do is create t-shirts for this specific category in my audience. Which ones would be best? It says, oh, Ryan, you want to go with, based on what you want to do and this kind of thing, you should probably go with the Bella and Canvas 3001, right? So the way it works with print on demand, if you haven't done it, I know a lot of you have, your cost is $11.75. So whatever you do above that is your profit. So if you charge 30, you'll make 20 something dollars. So you just come in and design, you pick what colors you want. And let's come back and let's design an image for a second. So let me come here. And okay, actually, you know what? I'm going to show you something here. Right before this class, I put my prompt in that I gave you guys. And I said, I'm going to be Todd, because Todd is my knitting and crochet guy. And of course, I spelled love wrong. I said, I have an idea for a new project in the niche of knitters and people who love to crochet. And it was the prompt. And here's what it came up with. I love how excited it is. The threaded realm. Every stitch tells a story. So the threaded realm exists in a parallel to our world, accessed by only those who have ever lost themselves in the rhythm of a stitch. What we stand for, preservation of slowness in a rush world, says all this great stuff in here, right? Grandma Loam, or Loom, I don't even know how to pronounce that. The thread remembers. So what I'll do is let's create, I'll say, this is amazing. You rock. You got to always pump them up. Can you please create a transparent PNG that I'll use on a t-shirt with the phrase, the thread remembers. And let's see what it comes up with. Now, obviously, you can do this on Canva, right? It's pretty easy to do it on Canva yourself. You could just go to Canva and do it however you want. But let me see what it comes up with here. Hopefully it did it as a transparent PNG. If not, then I might have to put it into Canva and then remove the background. But what we'll do is once we get that, we will then come back. Where am I? We'll come back to here, put it on the shirt. Let's see. Isn't technology amazing? So you could truly have all of your back end stuff run through like fourth wall. Now, in the past, so in the past, I would have said, well, what if I'm doing paid ads and I want to do upsells and downsells and all, I want to build a funnel. This really isn't designed for that. This is designed for when you have an audience and then we want to monetize simply. It's not really designed for cold traffic. It's designed for people who are in your world. We'll talk next in the next class about traffic and getting people into your world, but that's why I wouldn't have used it in the past. But now, the way we're going, why not? So it did this, PNG. Let me come back. Let me upload an image. We'll see how it looks. That's actually pretty nice. So what it says low quality, so we can actually upscale it for you. It does all this stuff for you. And just like any platform, it just takes you a couple of days of just playing. You, instead of saying, oh, now I need to take a course on how to do fourth wall, get in there and play. Because if your site isn't live yet anyway, practice uploading an image and playing around and go. And every technology has support. And go to YouTube. How to make a cool shirt in fourth wall. How to create a membership in fourth wall. You don't need to spend 15 hours figuring it out. Just get in and start messing around and start playing. So let's see if we're back. Confirm. Boom. The thread remembers. Generating high quality. That's actually a nice looking shirt. Okay, so here's what I would do. You ready for this? Let's get a little crazy. I'm gonna copy this. I just did a screenshot. And now I'm coming back to GPT, right? You see, I'm back here where I was. And I'll say, this is great. Now, can you please come up with the description? The fourth wall template is attached. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to take that image I just took and drop it right in. Let them come up with the description for it, as opposed to you trying to figure it out, right? And I'll say, please use the voice of our society. So you can actually do, so this is a little bit of a longer one here, right? But it's more story. And then what was the headline again? It was just the thread remembers T. So it shows how much you'll make now per sale. And then you could automatically do stickers, which are kind of cool. So you could say, you know what, I'm going to add a hat, stickers, and this sweatshirt. And now you've got all these products with the thread remembers. And then you do the same thing. Now, please do one for the hat. And you could obviously feed it more details about more the style you want or the vision you have of it. Right? And just keep going. Okay. So then within here, you could do memberships, right? So you could do multiple tiers. You could do more products. You could do digital products. Let me see where. So you could do, come here and do a digital product, and you can upload whatever it is you want to have. I'm just going to upload yesterday's file. I'm just going to put it in there. And I'm going to call this showrunner. Or maybe it was product category. So this is going to be media. I'm going to call it an ebook. So that's in there. You can create collections. And then you could just start connecting shirts to products. Like, hey, do you want to add a product to this? Do you want to add a shirt to this? Oh, because I didn't finalize creating the t-shirt. But not bad. Like we're already creating products and monetizing, and we can have memberships. Like there's so much you can do. All you got to do is get in there and start digging around. So what I like about that, zero cost. Zero cost. And it's easy for you to start selling a digital product or a physical product or the combination. Get the shirt with this, because now instead of, oh, it's just a quote unquote ebook, or hey, here's my how to get fit thing. No, here's our secret society workouts, right? And it comes with an exclusive members only t-shirt. And now instead of selling the workouts as a $29 digital, now it's a $50, now it's a $100 digital package because they're getting something physical in the mail. That's the game we're going to play. That's how we're rolling, my friend, in this world of show running. So all I want you to do now is take a deep breath, and we are going to create. I'm going to answer a couple of questions that came in, and we're going to keep rocking. We're going to get ready for tomorrow or for the next class. Say you use YouTube as your portal, or using those show codes in each video, or they've been used in emails to your subscribers. Okay, we'll talk about that in the next class, because that's more of a marketing question. I don't want to go down that, but save that, Diane, for next class, and we'll talk about that. But that's more of a, how do I get attention? That's what we're going to talk about next. Do you lead with curiosity or rather high value when creating these in-world artifacts? I felt it depends on the degree of how deep someone is already in the world. Do I lead with curiosity or high value? Well, I would have to look at, I think it's a really product. I think it really depends on the product. However, with that being said, I am a big fan of curiosity. So I will always try to add curiosity to everything. If you noticed, almost all of my email subject lines are curiosity based. All of my copy and my programs are curiosity. Even this showrunner, people still weren't even 100% sure what it was. Some of you weren't really sure. And especially if you weren't an after party, you came in totally blind because you didn't have the context of the super producer class. So you came in really blind. So I say high value and curiosity, right? I think curiosity is really powerful when used correctly. Not always like dancing around it, loosey-goosey, teasy kind of thing, but strong curiosity, like, oh, what? I really want to see what's inside there, right? I want to see what's inside that membership, that members only thing, or I really want that new workout that's never been seen before. And even if people know that it's kind of a fictionalized story, they get wrapped up in it because it's fun, it's engaging, it's just reaching you on a different level than you're used to. So again, I think it's a very product specific question, but in general, I will always use curiosity in some way, shape, or form. And you always want to have high value. You always want to have people buy it. Like if they're spending $75 for James's workout with exclusive sweatshirt, they should feel like they're getting a $200 value or $500 value. Not stacking on cheesy bonuses, not stacking on, here's $7,000 of bonuses for $50. Not that crap. Like still having it in the real world. So what we are going to be doing in the next class is talking about, homework first, right? I want you to start, if you're going to have characters, start building them out. Start using the prompts, because now we've gone through 5 of the show codes. So now you're having even more context of how this is all working. And you're seeing how I'm taking prompts and digging deeper and saying, well, what about this? And what about this? And taking a screenshot. And you're going to get these slides as well. So now upload these slides to the presentation and re-ask the prompt. And then use the words, what if? Hey, that was a great slogan, or it's a great character, but what if we gave the character an eye patch? Or what if it wasn't 2 characters, it was 3? Or what if it's not field notes, it's a series of 19 field notes? What would that look like, right? So getting deeper with character and start building out what these products are going to look like. Don't put pressure on yourself that you need to build a sales page or a funnel or upsells or downsells or how much or anything. I promise me now, this is supposed to be, I want you to actually stay with me. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy this and just go with it and get into creation mode. Hold on. There was one question. Years later, when Robert admitted he made it up, there was pretty strong backlash. I'm not hiding that it's fictional. That's the difference. I'm not hiding it at all. What I'll do is in the next class, I'm going to share with you what I'm doing, what I'm adding to the bottom of the site to shows that it's fictional. So I don't think you should hide that it's fictional. I think people still go with the story. I think you do want to protect yourself. So the mistake he made, from what I remember, I don't really pay attention to Kiyosaki, but from what I remember, it's he pretended it was true. And then it's like, oh, well, actually I made it up. That's when you get into trouble. But if you're kind of doing it with a little bit of a wink, you're good. So on the bottom of mine, it's going to say this is produced by AI and creative IP, and this is fictional, and any relationship is purely coincidental. So I'm putting that disclaimer on every single page, and I think you should too. We'll talk about that in the next class. But that's a really good question. So I want you to start thinking about characters and products, having fun with it. Please make a promise that you're going to now forget everything you've learned about products and courses and all that stuff, and just use ChatGPT and get creative and have fun and play, and don't judge the idea. Just keep tweaking and see what makes you smile. Let's start there, right? Let's actually do something different. And I'm not, by the way, if you have not, or if you want to leave another comment on my Facebook thing, even if you left one yesterday, feel free to leave another one. Like, hey, great, this class was even better. I loved it. You can just leave it on that thread. If you didn't leave a comment yesterday, maybe you could do one today. Whatever you want. Just go to facebook.com/RyanLee.com. That's facebook.com/RyanLee.com. Leave a little comment, and I really appreciate it. I'm replying to all those comments as well, so I'd appreciate that. And coming up in the next one, we're going to talk about the build, and then promoting and growing and getting people to stick around. What I'll do now is let me answer a few more questions, because I know a few more are coming in. I want to make sure all your questions are answered. I answered Max's already. This was Nick's question. Put my glasses on. And again, if you can leave any feedback on that first thread there, I'd really appreciate it. Even if you were there yesterday, like, hey, I was in the second class and it was even better, or I was in the second class and it sucked. Maybe don't say that. Maybe you can keep it to yourself because no one cares what you think. But if you want to say something good, don't do it to impress me. Do it to impress upon me. Now that's going to be my new friggin' phrase. So you're ditching membership, so to speak. What's your plan outside of something like a monthly newsletter or something for MMR? I didn't say I'm ditching memberships. What I'm ditching is the old way memberships were done. So what I'm going to be doing in my world, without giving too much, it's going to be an alternate 1986. And what I'm building for recurring revenue is going to be a club. So there's going to be a club where every week they're going to get a new exclusive version of it. So using speaking, for example, let's say on the marketing on the front end, we're giving out a new free prompt every week. On the inside, in the speaking society, there'd be 2 secret prompts that have never been released to the public. I'm doing a version of that. So it's still going to be a hybrid membership, but not traditional how you think of it. Like, here's the thing, and every week there's a new piece of content that takes it's not as organized. It's more, here's really cool stuff, more like a fan club in a way. Are there price points? This question by Heather. Price points you're thinking that works better for this type of work? It again, very niche dependent. For the speaker society, it could be $20 a month or $200 a year or $15 or $30 a month. It depends on how much you want to lean into. It's going to turn you into a better speaker and you're going to rock the stages kind of thing. Or Todd's, hey, you're part of a knitting society, which might be more like $10 a month, $99 for a year. The fitness one could be, if it's super premium, it could be a couple $100. But these are often going to be a little bit more in the lower end. If I said yearly memberships, it would be more like 75 to like $200-300 a year ish, right? Because we're not going how to, it's more story based. In regards to progression and the journey of someone moving through the world, we're going to talk about that next week. Please do me a favor, Max, save that question for next week, because we are covering that, because we have 2 more show codes to go through, and one of them is the progression. So we'll talk about that. So the next class we're going to talk about build, the traffic, and then finish up with the 2 show codes. So this has been fun. I was looking forward to this and kind of digging it again. If you're enjoying it, just go to facebook.com/ryanlee.com. Leave a little comment there on that first thing. But I want you now to unmarket yourself and still stay in creative mode. That's it. This is where the good stuff is going to happen. I promise you. And we're going to differentiate and we're going to breakthroughs. And you are going to be so excited to start this. And I hope already you're feeling better about it. Like if you just saw James's example, right? From what it was before to what it is now in one day. So imagine you spending a week or 2 of massaging the prompts and dialing in your messaging and saying, I like that word, but let's change it to this, or let's make it less mythical and more rock and roll, or let's make it more punk, or let's make it more, leadership, whatever it's going to be. But only you can create it. Like you were put here. There's only one you. So even though AI is the voice, it's helping you pull out your voice, that seed is still coming from within you. So don't hide that. And don't bury it in a funnel. Let the freak flag fly, my friend. All right. I'll see you in the next class. Thank you again. Showrunner out.